Hello everybody, ciao a tutti and welcome to Art with Ms.B. I'm very happy to be here today. We're going to do a short practice and today we are going to use for the first time in my YouTube channel oil pastels. Oil pastels is a media that I use a lot in the school. The kids love it and I think that it's very good for texture and learning how to blend the colors together, overlapping them, mixing them, and making some nice experiment. We're gonna work on a mixed media paper. If you have a specific paper for pastels, even better. But as I say many times, you don't need like everything so specific. So if you have a thick mixed media paper, Bristol paper, watercolor paper, whatever you have available, you can use it. If you don't have oil pastels and you want to do the video with me, you can also use crayons. They will kind of not give you the same texture, of course, but they will give you the idea of how you can play with colors, mixing them, blending them together, doing some nice outline and see. We're gonna get inspired by the fall, which we are still in this season. I know that all the stores tell us that we are already in December, in the winter, in Christmas, but no, we're still in the fall. So I really, I am committed to get inspired by the season as much as possible. So I'm gonna switch the camera. I will have everything included, all the materials included in the description box. So make yourself comfortable, get ready, and we start the practice together.
Okay, here we are. I'm using a small piece of paper. I have a regular 12 by 9 pad and I cut the pages in half so you can do some more project with the same pad. I'm gonna use the pencil and I pre-trace the little leaves. I'm gonna do the tracing with you. So mostly if you are a beginner or a young artist, I'm gonna teach you and guide you into how to draw a successful, beautiful, natural leaves. So we start from the curved line in the center. So you point your pencil from the top or the bottom, whatever is more convenient for you, and very slowly, it doesn't have to be a perfect line, but something kind of consistent, you go all the way up. If you notice, my curved line occupy more or less the center of the space and a very like a big space in my paper because we don't want to have a tiny little leaves. Mostly today that we are working with pastels, we want to make sure that we have enough space to play around with those. Then we're gonna like do a little segment here and we're gonna do the same action that we did at the very beginning. Very slowly, you do your best to make these two lines go as close as possible until they become only one. If you have a thicker line, if your line is not like as neat as mine, remember we are here practicing and we are here learning together. And now we're going to develop a very nice smooth organic line because we want to give that idea of the outlines of a leaf. So you go slow, so you can control your hand. You play a little bit with curved line, soft and organic. The leaves doesn't have to be perfectly symmetrical both sides. Some leaves are, some others are not. Little by little until you go back where you started and we have our beautiful leaves. We are not going to do the veins inside the leaf right now with the pencil because we're going to color the leaves with oil pastels, and oil pastels are very thick. They have a very like a strong consistency, so they're gonna cover basically. Now I love oil pastels because they serve us very well if you want to do something blended and more natural and more realistic or impressionist, like impressionism style, or if we want to do something abstract. Today we're gonna try and learn how to blend together. So you can pick from your box the colors that you want to use. I want to do something very warm. I have a sort of like a purple reddish color, a very intense orange, a dark yellow, a brown color, and then black. You can do something different. You can include more green. In the fall, we have a variety of colors that we can use for our leaves, okay? So once again, remember that you need to enjoy the activity and you need to do you. Pastels are very messy, so do your best to keep them on the paper. You will go a little bit outside the line, it doesn't really matter. And you don't need to press hard on the paper because they are very, very soft. And as soon as you touch the paper, they will release the pigment. So really, 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 there is no need to press hard. If you're using crayons, probably you want to add a little bit more pressure so you can have a little bit more of thickness on the paper. With pastels, once again, you don't need. So you start like to go, I start to color from the center all the way to the side, and really I am very spontaneous in doing this. I'm not like, if you have a beautiful leaves that you can go and collect outside, that you can also inspire yourself with the natural color that you see. I live in a very new community, so the trees outside my house, they are very, very young, and they're like, they don't have many colorful leaves yet. They lost already the few leaves that they had on just because they are growing. But if you happen to live in an older neighbors and you have some trees nearby, do like a collect natural leaves, observe the colors, and then you can bring them in and inspire yourself with the color of the real leaf. I think it's always beautiful. Try and mix the colors together. Now you see with oil pastels, you're going to overlap, which means that we're going to color with one color over the other. And then we kind of expand and we bring this beautiful purple or any color. If you love red, because red, it's I know many students that I have in school, red is their favorite color, so they want to include it as much as possible in every project. Do so. So instead to do a purple, you can do a red, or you can do both. You can really have multiple colors in this project. I would say the more the better. And I want you to kind of focus and on the technique, like on the feeling that you get when you overlap the different colors in pastels, when you see the pastels like touching the paper, what happens? This beautiful, beautiful texture that we have. I love these very, very intense colors. Now I'm gonna light it up a little bit. For what concern oil pastels, if you don't have them but you want to buy them, you can find very, very affordable scholastic oil pastels in many stores, included Walmart, I think Target, Hobby Lobby. You can buy them on Amazon, you can buy them on Blick.com. There are many, many, many options. My pastels are not super like a scholastic, they are neither more professional. They are like Paul Rubens, and they are Japanese pastels, but and I love them. I love the fact that they are pretty thick, so they give me like a good grip, but you can use a thinner pastel, thicker pastel, and if you're a parent or schooling your children and you want to provide them, you can find many beautiful, affordable pastels. They are perfect for many, many projects. Usually kids love pastel, and really different stages and different ages. I have kindergarten in school that really are excited to use pastel because they kind of get curious, right? Now let me see if I'm gonna move it closer. You can see this beautiful texture that comes from the thickness of the pastel, and it's something that I really, really, really love. Remember that you don't have to copy exactly what I do, but you will go around and you will do you. And you see what happens when you mix one color to another. If the pastel get dirty, it's fine. You can have a piece of cardboard or a piece of white paper and you can scrub it gently, basically like that you are erasing something, but you're not technically erasing anything, but you clean it up a little bit. Or you can keep going with the pastel like messy. It's not a big deal. I love them actually because they give me even more tones that I expected, and it make the experience very, very fulfilling because we do not know exactly what is going to come out at the end, which is something that I really enjoy about creating art. We have a plan, Sometimes we do, sometimes we just don't have it, and we start to work. But even when we have a plan, things always happen a little differently that you added in your mind. And this is, to me, is the beauty of the art practice. So we need to be able to embrace the unexpected and make it work for us. So it's such a beautiful life lesson, as I always say to my students, right? Because sometimes most of the time in the life and in our culture, we are kind of very organized, we plan ahead, we prepare ourselves, which is great. But sometimes that comes with we pay the price of being overwhelmed and overstressed. And so when the art practice goes in an unexpected directions and in a different way that we planned, it's beautiful. And sometimes when we do mindful practice, and I encourage you to practice with me at least once per week, you can redo your favorite practice over and over. We really, really help ourselves to completely lose control, but in a good way, embracing what happened and just enjoying the process and being curious and open-minded about what we are doing. Look how beautiful. Also, the pastel allowed us to do pretty quickly beautiful and impressive artwork, right? So now with my black, I'm gonna kind of go in the middle. If you want to give your leaves outlines, you can do so, or you can leave it the way it is. And maybe we're going to give it a beautiful, beautiful background with pastel, because I love to use pastel. So the more, the better. Very gentle over here. Sorry, sometimes. Then you can do some of the vein of the leaves. Like for the veins, you can do like a diagonal line all the way, as many as you like, friends. The other side, and then you add pretend that you're doing small trees, so you add the little branches on both sides of these diagonal lines. There are the veins of the leaves. When you think that you have enough, you can leave it that way. They're very pretty. Probably I'm gonna just smooth down the black with some brown to make it look just slightly lighter and a little more natural. Although I love the intensity of the black. That's it. Now I'm going to use, I want something very like in contrast with this warm and hot, I would say hot palette. So I want to probably do something dark, maybe a couple of blue, but once again, you do you. If you want a warm background, you can keep doing with the yellow, with the brown. You want a neutral, you go with the gray. You want something like cold, you go with the blue. Remember, friends, we need to respect our personality and enjoy what we are doing, right? So now you will go very carefully around the edge of your leaf. So as Italian speaking English, sometimes I pronounce the finals too much. Sometimes instead, like today, I skip them. Oh my. But it's okay, you know. When you speak a multiple language, this is what happened, and I feel that is so, you know, I still feel very privileged and very proud of myself, and also happy about the fact that I can experience to speak with people in multiple languages, because when you speak a different languages, you also learn so much about another culture. So in school, it's very interesting, and I love to expose my students, you know, to my own cultural background, and through my languages, you know, comes that too. And sometimes I would tell them the words in Italian, how do we say oil pastels in Italian, how do we say the colors in Italian, and I feel that kids are very receptive and it's such a beautiful, meaningful experience. So don't mind my accent, don't mind my mispronunciation, and there are some days that English come very, very smooth, and some other instead that they're, I forget some vowels and consonants along the way. But let me tell you, English is not an easy language to pronounce. And the spelling is still something sometimes mysterious to me. And also to many Americans. I really like this blue. As you notice, I'm not filling completely in all the gaps. I'm going very soft. You see, I'm not adding basically any pressure on my paper. Any at all. My hands doesn't get tired if by any chances you're using crayons and so you have to apply pressure, so you have a little more texture. Take a break every time that your hands get tired. Remember, this is not a marathon. You can go slower, you can pause the video, you can practice on your own, you can watch the video and then practice by yourself. Whatever works better for you. Remember that we should be able to enjoy. Now I have another couple of different blue and I want to see how they interact on top of this one. And this is when I will go basically and fill the gaps that I left. This is a slightly darker, it's a little more intense and I really like it. So maybe next near the leaf to create a sort of an idea of a shadow, the cast a shadow of the leaves on the background, I will use this darker blue. I love it. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. If you don't like the texture, so sometimes with oil pastel, some friends love it very much. Some other instead don't like the texture, like on their hand. You can use gloves like, latex, how do you say, like, yes, disposable gloves. Or you can just use a piece of paper, for example, and you place it next to you. So instead to touch the paper with the pastel, you will touch the paper clean, like even a piece of, a regular paper, copy paper, whatever. So it prevents you to touch directly the surface with the pastel. Honestly, I don't mind it. I don't like it very much, but I don't mind it. So I use it like that. For example, you will rarely see me blending the pastel with the hand. It's something that people do, and it's something that actually gives you beautiful, beautiful shade. So if you want to try and blend them together, moving your fingers on top, you can do that too. You won't see me doing it because it's something that I do not enjoy, and so I blend them just by coloring and play around with the color. Let's see the final. Very probably should be the darkest, but surprise, surprise, it doesn't look so dark on top of this, the first one that we put. I'm gonna go around, see that if I'm leaving other gaps, so few tiny little gaps are normal, but I like my background to be very saturated, which means very intense. Don't push hard because you're basically applying different layers and different coats. I'm gonna switch back to my first and use it to blend them up together. And I think that my work here is done. Sometimes if you want, you can use the white. The white will blend the color together and will make them, of course, lighter. So if you want, you can kind of use it to outline a few spots on the leaves. If you go over entirely, you will blend everything together. If it's an experiment that you want to try, go and try. This time I will actually select the area where I want it light it up a little bit. And this is what I will do. I'm not pressing at all. I'm going very, very light gently on top of the blue. I want to light up only this side, and then with the blue that I use at the beginning for my background, you will go over very gently, and you see that the white blends the color together and make this area a little lighter than the other. So you can use the white like that. Also here on my leaves, since I put some white, I will go back on top with my yellow, and so the white will blend again into the color, just leaving that spot a little lighter. And I'm gonna put a little bit here, a little bit here. You look your leaves and you decide where you want it a little lighter. And after you apply the yellow, you will go over with the white, you will go over with yellow or orange or any color that was. Yes, I'm gonna get my purple again, blended it on top, making sure that I don't have any gaps. To clean up a little bit the pastel. There you go. And that's it. So once again, remember that if you want, you can use your fingers and you can blend the colors together. If you don't like the texture like I don't, you can instead use the sticks, the colors themselves, to color gently, overlapping different layers. And when you're all done, I suggest you to save it inside a portfolio, because pastels are very messy. If you have a spray, they also sell spray that they seal basically, so they don't lose colors, they don't fade away, and they don't mess up anything else. So this is a beautiful leaf inspired by the fall, a very intense hot palette surrounded by a very cold palette. I hope that you enjoy, and I hope that you want to you're going to make many other leaves. If you have real leaves, remember, you can take them, place them next to you, and try to reproduce the color palette that you see. I'm going to switch the camera so we can say goodbye, and thank you for practicing with me.
Okay, guys, thank you so much for practicing with me. This is a beautiful fall leaves inspired by this season, and using oil pastels was really, really, really refreshing for me. I hope that you like the difference in texture, the softness of the pastels, and if you didn't, it's still an experience and you might decide not to use them again. Remember, I gave you different type of, technique that you can use to blend them. If you like to touch them, you can use your fingers. You can cover your finger in a piece of paper and then do the blending. Or I like the way that I do, because I love oil pastels, but I don't like the feeling when I just touch them. I just work with the pastel themselves on the paper, just adding different coats, different layers of the colors, mixing them together, and then it's very satisfying for me, and is gives me exactly the result and the texture that I want to. So I hope that you have fun. If remember to subscribe to my channel to spread the words if you like it. Remember that my practice are meant to be very friendly, relaxing, simple, and approachable. But while we have fun together, you're learning about different techniques, the different media, and also different art elements. And I see you very soon, and I wish you all a very good day. Ciao a tutti!